Hi guys, welcome back to the channel today. I'm Tamara, and today I decided to make a video about, this is a very hard video to make because it's a very serious video about how you know your relationship is about to end. Not everybody wants to acknowledge the fact that their relationship may be about to come to an end, but a lot of times you kind of already feel that in your heart and your gut, and you already know. Okay, so these are just a couple of tips to kind of help you come to the conclusion that you need to come to figure out what direction you need to go in next with your relationship. The first tip, you guys, is you feel like you have changed, and not in a good way. When you get into a relationship, the other person that you're in the relationship with is supposed to make you feel good about yourself, and it's supposed to make you feel like you're making some kind of strides, or becoming a better person in your relationship. If the other person, and trust me, if you have friends or family, your family definitely are going to let you know, hey, you know what, you kind of being this way or being that way, and you weren't that way until you met this, until you got in this relationship. So if you find that you don't feel good about yourself, that you're doing things that are not right, then this may not be the relationship that you need to stay in. Because in the long run, if things start out that that you don't feel good doing, it's just gonna escalate and become a bigger problem and a bigger issue. So if you're in this relationship and you feel like you have changed for the worse, then this may not be the relationship that you want to stay in and you want to continue in. The next thing is, if you see where the person that you're with doesn't care about you anymore, or if you know that they're ignoring your phone calls, if you tried to call them all day or you text them all day and it's just becoming a regular thing for them to just send you to voicemail or ignore you, then that's a red flag, a serious red flag, that person does not want to have you in their life anymore. Unless they do some kind of serious occupation where, they're a doctor and, they're expected to, miss a couple calls and, not call you back. If it's not anything like that, where that they're probably not working, they're probably off somewhere goofing around, or that they can return your calls, then it's a sign that, this may not be the relationship that you want to stay in. Number one, that's very disrespectful. Okay. And number two, that's childish. The third thing, you guys, is if you find out that you're putting in 100% of the effort, and are if you're putting in all the effort in the relationship and the other person is not putting in any, then that's another red flag that your relationship is not is doomed to fail. If you see where you ask the other person if they could do something for you, and they whine and bitch and moan about it, all the time, to the point of where, I don't even want to ask you because I know you're just gonna, get upset with me, then that's a relationship that you don't want to be in. You want to be in a relationship to where when they come to you and ask you, to help them with something, you gladly help them. You want the same in return. You want that reciprocated. So if that's not the case, then it's probably not the relationship, or it's probably not, you probably don't want to stay in that relationship. The next tip, you guys, if you can't stand the sight of the other person, like if they're getting ready to come home from work and you're like, oh gosh, and you think of somewhere to go as soon as they're pulling in the yard, why are you still there? You're just wasting your time. If you're at that point in your relationship where you hate the sight of the other person, and I can understand there may be times, because me and Eric have our times, we've been together for 16 years, and we have our times where, he comes home, and don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see him, but I could be exhausted from my day, and, for him, vice versa. And, there are times where I just kind of want to, go have a glass of wine and just sit there for a little bit, and not be bothered by anybody, even though I hadn't seen him all day. I'm just stressed from, the labors of my job, and I'm sure he is too. So there are times where you just have those days where you don't want to see anybody. You just want to come home, kick your shoes off, pour your glass of wine, and go sit down somewhere or watch watch you an episode of Housewives, or, you know, whatever you want to watch, and just kind of, you know, kick it with yourself for a while. So that is, you know, you do have those days. But what I'm talking about is just, you can't stand the sight of that person. You can't stand to hear that person's name. You know, that person's name is almost a cuss word. Okay, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. If that's the case, then you may want to reconsider the relationship, because that is a major red flag. Next thing is, if you feel like you're putting your life or your plans on hold to make them happy, or to make what they have going on, to make them successful, that may not be a good relationship for you. Now, in certain circumstances, like if that person is going through medical school or going through college, or you're the only person that, if they say, hey, can you stay home, take care of the kids or something, that's something that y'all are going to have to talk about. Now, that's something different. That's not what I'm referring to when I say this specific tip. What I'm saying is that let's say, for example, you drop out of college so that this person can go and, you know, start their own business that they've been trying to start for 10 years now. You know, don't get me wrong. I understand starting a business can be hectic, and it can be very, very hard, and it can be difficult, and it can take a long time. But if that person's not making any leeway, but they're wanting you to put they're seeing that you're successful and you're moving forward, and they're like, hey, you know, you need to put your life on hold to help me over here, you know, get my business going, or whatever it may be, then that is not a person that cares about you, because that person should be uplifting your success just as much as you would be uplifting their success. So the last thing I want to say, you guys, I feel that every relationship is different. And like I said in the beginning of this video, you know, if you feel like your relationship falls in any of these, if you feel like these points hit in your relationship, you know, then you may want to reevaluate your relationship. But the last thing I want to say is, like I said, every relationship is different, but make a checklist, because only you know your relationship. See if the pros outweigh the cons, you know, or if the cons outweigh the pros. And just figure out, okay, what do I want for myself 5, 6, 10 years down? All I'm saying is just make a checklist of your relationship. And that way you know what direction you need to go in from there, because only you know your relationship, and it doesn't do any good to sugarcoat it. That's the thing. You can't sugarcoat it once it's on paper. Be honest, because it's not only going to help you now, but it's going to help you out in the long run. So thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in to this video. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know the next video that you want to see. Hopefully the next video that I do, Eric can come back and do it with me. But he is a essential worker. So it might be a while before he's able to join me again. But thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel. And stay safe. And until the next video. Bye, guys.